Greetings of peace and love and harmony. My name is Ra Imhotep. I'm broadcasting on behalf of the number 13, SignsAstrology.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. On this episode, I want to give some words of encouragement. And I'm going to also, towards the end of this episode, provide you some solutions to some of the problems that I know that you guys out there are facing, because we're all going through it. And what's sparking me and inspiring me to do this video is because when I go outside and, when I converse with the people, because I get out and I talk to the people, and I not just talk to the people, but I pick up on the energy of the people. And I try to do this every day. And right now, people are in a state of kind of like misery, sort of. A lot of people are down. A lot of people feel like they're in bondage. A lot of people feel like they're in prison and trapped. Now, I said on my last episode, my last segment, that I was going to start to cover a lot of topics when it comes to sovereignty and economic freedom. And in this episode, I'm going to start off with the ground, I guess, with the root or the 0 point of sovereignty and the sovereign movement. See, when you think about sovereignty, what comes to mind? Why do you want to be sovereign? Why do most people want to be sovereign? Most people want to be sovereign because they want to be free. They don't want to be controlled. They want to be able to wake up when they want to wake up. They want to be able to do the things that they want to do. The sovereignty movement and people wanting this has been birthed based upon the prison planet and the control grid that humans are up under. This is what really birthed the conscious movement in general, and it led into the sovereign movement. First, it was about being conscious and being aware and being free to think what you want to think and say what you want to say. But that eventually led to people wanting to be able to do what they want to do and go where they want to go. So it starts with, notice that it started with a thought. And that's what I'm going to cover in this episode. I get a lot of people telling me that they think that in order for you to be sovereign, you need land. And that's very true. You do need land to be sovereign. However, when you really study sovereignty and you study who you are as a human being, you have land. The ground, not only do you have the ground that you stand on as land, that's your land because you're standing on it and you get a chance to claim that, but it goes deeper than that. You are given land through your vessel, your body. Your body is the land for you to be sovereign on. And many people are like, well, no, we need actual physical land so we could build houses, so that we can grow our food, and so that we don't have to go to work every day. And that's a phase of it, and that's a stage of it, but that's when you get into the phase and the stage of taking care of a group of people. So everybody, when you talk about sovereignty, everybody may not want to graduate to that level of sovereignty. Sovereignty has different degrees, just like a university. A lot of people, they think, well, I can be free by getting into the UCCs and I can, sue the government and get back a certain amount of money because, they get a certain amount of money off of our birth certificate. And I can sue the government and get $600,000, I think it is, or some people say $1.5 million or whatever it is. I can get that money back, and that's going to make me free because they took that from me. However, it's deeper than that. You're not going to be able to get that money back unless you have knowledge. And even when you have knowledge, if you're going around suing the government and going around fighting the government, that's not going to necessarily get you back anything, because that's going to really just get you in a situation where the government is going to declare war against you and on you, and you're going to be in another situation. So what I want to do here on this episode is I want to talk about freedom more so than sovereignty. You can call it sovereignty because that's essentially what sovereignty is based on. It's based on freedom. But I want to talk about freedom. And towards the end of the episode, not only am I going to read you some very inspiring words from this book. This is the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and this is going to help to sum up everything I'm saying. But I'm going to also provide an economic solution that 13 Signs Astrology is working on to help people to become free, because that's what it's all about, right? Now, freedom is based on 4 principles based on this chapter and this episode that I'm dealing with. It's based on 4 principles. Now it can get deeper. We can talk about a lot of things. I'm going to cover UCCs. Trust me, I'm going to cover a lot of different things just to help you to understand. I'm going to cover U.S. Treasury bonds and things of that nature. I'm going to cover credit and debt versus debt and things of that nature. But before you get into any of that, you have to get your mind right. You have to get your spirit right if you want to be free. And freedom is based on, it starts with space. It essentially starts with space. When you go out of space, or when you think about space, you think about freedom, because space is an openness. It's an openness. So your spirit is free because your spirit essentially existed in the realms and the ethers, or in space, or what you would call the astral realms. Some people call it that, whatever you want to call it. But before your spirit was imprisoned into this body, you existed in space. There was no boundaries. There was no limit. It was more than infinite. Because some people say, well, when you talk about being infinite, that is freedom, infinite progress. But that's not necessarily freedom, because even infinite has a boundary on it. When you study mathematics, you'll learn that when something's infinite, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is free or it is boundless. Infinite does have a measure, is where I'm getting at. So if you want to understand freedom, you want to understand space, and then you want to understand how you got here. Because what happened was that when you came from outer space, you were put into, the first prison you were put in was the prison of your body. Your spirit was encapsulated or captured into a vessel. How this happened, many people say it happens through the breath. It happens through the breath, and it happens when you're in your mother's womb. As she breathes, she begins to breathe in. When you're in her womb, she begins to breathe in your spirit. Your spirit comes through her nostrils, and this is how your spirit goes into the womb and eventually takes on the body. So when you first come to this planet, you're in prison. That's the first prison. And then from there, the second prison will be you being in your mother's womb. And then after you leave your mother's womb, you will go into the prison of coming home, the prison of being up under your parents, the prison of going to school, the prison of going to work, the prison of debt, the prison of paying back monies. See, all of these are different prisons. However, I'm going to go into the second principle, which is going to help you to understand now how to get out of this prison. Because essentially what I'm explaining here is that when you get here on this planet, you're supposed to be in prison. That's the whole game. This is a magical place. This is a school of magic. This is what Thoth teaches us in the Emerald Tablet. So when you get here, the whole goal is to see if you can free yourself. Essentially, all of you are like Houdini. You have been captured, or you have been put into a magical trick, and the goal is to see who can make it out and who can't. And you get an unlimited times to make it out, well, supposedly. But you get an infinite amount of times. Let's say that you get an infinite amount of times to make it out of this prison through a process of reincarnation. So essentially, you want to understand thought. When you think about Thoth is thought. So that's the second principle I'm going to get into. The second principle is thought, because first you were in space, but then you go into the school of thought, and thoughts are infinite. However, thoughts is what separates us and creates boundaries and makes us different. You think one way, I think another way. You may think about things based upon the energies of Virgo. I may think about things based upon the energies of Leo. She may think about things based upon the energies of Pisces. He may think about things based upon the energies of Capricorn. Where I'm getting at here is that thoughts is what separates us, and it also is what defines us. But it's also the key tool on freeing us from the prison and helping us to make it back into freedom, being able to move around unlimitless and being limitless and being like a superhero or a superwoman. You have to change your thoughts. See, if you want to really become sovereign, it's based upon the way you think. It has nothing to do with paperwork. And I know you hear a lot of people talk about this, but really trying to make it plain here. So thought is what makes the law, which is the third principle. So you have the thought, you have the way that you think, I have the way that I think, she has the way that she thinks. This becomes your law. This becomes your measure. And law is the secret key ingredient to freeing yourself from the matrix. There's different laws. There's the law of numbers. There's the law of karma, which is very key, which I'm going to talk about here. There is the law of the Constitution. There is the Maritime Admiralty Law, the law of UCCs, and you got all of these different laws. And you may be thinking, well, how am I going to really master this thing if there's so many different laws, and what do I study? I only have one lifetime to study all of these things. How can I free myself? And that's where the mystery comes in at. See, life is nothing but a mystery. This is why the Egyptians talked about the mystery system. And the mystery unveils itself and makes itself clear. Mystery is equal to darkness. And thought is equal to light. And the way that you think, and not only that, but the way that when you fine tune your thoughts, this is how you pierce the fog. This is how you basically essentially find out that there is no darkness. It's based upon fine tuning your thoughts and learning the law. So you want to learn, first law you want to learn is universal law, which is astrology. Astrology is the mother of universal law. And then I actually have a video as well that goes into the Kabbalion, which teaches you about the 7 universal laws. And there's actually 9, as I always say, but you can watch that video to find out more about that. But if you want to learn about universal law, you have to first, that's the ultimate law of freeing yourself from the matrix. If you don't study any other law, if you don't study the Constitution, if it's too hard for you to understand, if you don't study UCCs, if that's too hard for you to understand, if you don't do anything else, you want to study universal law. For instance, the law of rhythm, because thought is based upon rhythm. When a person that thinks better than another person, or what separates a good thinker from one who's not as good, is the rhythm and how they think, the reason and why they're doing anything, the intent. And all of this is based upon your thoughts. So what makes one person more successful at being a sovereign versus another person is because they have a rhythm or method to the way that they do things. Their thoughts are based upon a rhythm. They're not just random thoughts. Like, say, for instance, a random thinker has really no pattern about their day. Their thoughts aren't set in a rhythm. Like, they don't have allotments of time, which is what I'm going to go into the last principle. They don't have allotments of time to think about things. So they just wake up with random thoughts and they just act on those random thoughts, and they find out that random things happen to them. And this is because they haven't mastered the universal law of rhythm. And there's other ones too. There's the universal law of polarity. You talk about polarity consciousness or dualism. Another key ingredient in understanding the law is to master the law of polarity, or the law of opposites. So you have to know, when you think a thing, there's always an equal and opposite reaction. This goes into the law of karma, which is very important in understanding universal law. People talk about negative karma or good karma and bad karma, and oh, that person has bad karma, that's why all these things are happening to you. There is no such thing as good karma or bad karma. There's just karma, because karma means what you make. And your perception or your thoughts, the way you think about what's happening to you, is what's going to define as to whether or not this situation is good or bad. Really, the evil, or you could say the bad karma, is really ignorance. That's really having bad karma, because when you're ignorant of a thing, this creates negative karma because you don't know. So you're getting all of this negative karma coming back at you. And the way to get out of that is to know more, to read more, to go through the mystery. So that's the reason why you were born. That's the reason why you incarnated, to master these different laws. And karma is ruled by Saturn. And we're in the time of Libra. And Saturn is very exalted in Libra. So, and Saturn rules books. So if you want to understand how to free yourself from these laws, how to free yourself from the matrix, you have to master the different laws. You have to master your karma. So your karma essentially is what will determine as to whether or not you're going to come back. What I'm saying here is that you would have to essentially master thought, and you would have to master karma. You would have to master how you think about things, how you put these things into a perspective. Now, the last thing you want to master is time. Time is very important. There's a time and a season to do everything. And if you notice, all of these things I'm talking about go hand in hand. That's why it kind of sounds like a circle, because I am going in a circle. Because all things that come into creation via a circle. Circles is what create things. And time is very important because there's a time to meditate, which is a form of thought, there's laws to meditation. There's a time to work out. And working out is based upon certain laws. There's a certain way you have to work out. There's a certain thought process you have to be in. There's a time to work. There's a time to sleep. So all of these things are based on these 4 principles, which I keep going back to, which is space, thought, law, and time. So if you want to free yourself from the matrix, you have to start out with these 4 things. You have to begin to work on all of these 4 things. You have to begin to study and be able to put your life into a rhythm and a perspective. There's a time for you to talk on the phone to your friends. There's a time for you to do that. And there's a time for you to work. So you have to master these things. You have to become disciplined. You have to become, Jesus had 12 disciples. He was the 13th. This goes into the 13 disciplines of the zodiac. So really, essentially, even though you think about things based upon the energies of Virgo, I might think about things based upon the energies of Pisces. She might think about things based upon the energies of Aquarius. These are all disciplines. And what makes one a spiritual master and what makes one a sovereign is when one can master all of these disciplines, because as I tell you, all of the signs of the zodiac are in your natal chart. That's why it's so important for you to get it. You have all the different astrological signs there, and these are different disciplines and schools of thought that you have to go through in different times when these different signs are rising. So say for instance at 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. during the time of Libra is rising. So you want to go through during that time. It's good to do Libran things from 6 to 8 a.m. wherever you're at. And then from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. after that, Fucus begins to rise, because that's the sign that, Scorpio begins to rise, because that's the sign that comes after Libra. So you want to go into the Scorpionic thought and the Scorpionic discipline. And I'm not going to go through all the signs here because my time is limited. But what I'm trying to show you here is that I'm going to make more videos and segments here, is that if you want to be free from the matrix and you want to free yourself, you have to, it's all about you. And you have to learn about the components that make up you, which is your mind, your spirit, and then after that you have your body. And then once you master your mind, your spirit, your body, that's threefold. Then you want to go into the 4 pillars that will help to free you, which is space, thought, law, and time, because everything that you do revolves around those 4 principles. So what I'm going to do now is that I want to read you some words of Thoth, and then I want to get into some solutions coming from 13 signs astrology that's going to help to free you from these boundaries that you're up under. So take heed to these words, and I may put in a few footnotes as I read. Thoth says in chapter 10, or tablet 10, and this is the Emerald Tablets again. Very good tablet to get. If you're going to really get into my channel, you have to get this. This is one of the must-read scriptures and books. And he says, "List ye, O man, take of my wisdom, learn of the deep hidden mysteries of space, learn of thought that grew in the abyss, bringing order and harmony in space." So again, you have to have order. You have to be organized in how you do things. And not only do you have to be organized, you have to do things in a rhythm or harmony. So it's like music. Your life has to be like a music, like a beat, like a rhythm. Then he says, "Know ye, O man, that all exists has being only because of the law. Know ye the law, and ye shall be free. Never be bound by the fetters of the night." So why are you in prison? You're in prison because of the fetters of the night, or the ignorance, or the karma. This is what I would call negative karma, or negative karma. And negative karma is your ignorance, and this is what keeps you bound. What's going to free you is the knowledge of a thing, or whatever you're trying to free yourself from. So if you're trying to free yourself from a job, what's going to free you from that is knowledge. If you're trying to free yourself from a negative relationship, what's going to free you from that is knowledge. It always goes back to knowledge. And knowledge creates the law, because what you know is going to make your thoughts different. When you put knowledge into your head, this structures your thoughts. And what you know, when you know better, you do better. So this is going to make you perform differently. He says, "Far through strange spaces have I journeyed into the depth of the abyss of time, learning strange and yet stranger mysteries until in the end all was revealed. Know ye that mystery is only mystery when it is knowledge unknown to man. When ye have plumbed the heart of all mystery, knowledge and wisdom will surely be thine. He says, seek ye and learn that time is the secret, whereby ye may be free of this space. So again, time is the secret. What you do with your time is what's going to free you. See, many people, they talk about they want to be free, they want to do this and do that. But the problem is that you waste more time talking about it than you actually do acting on it, or than you actually do organizing it and putting your life into a rhythm. So you need to spend more time doing it versus talking about it. He says, long have I sought wisdom, and shall seek to eternity's end, for know I that ever before me receding shall move the goal I seek to attain. Even the Lord of the cycles know that not yea have they reached the goal, for with all of their wisdom they know that truth ever grows. So basically what he's saying here is that the whole goal of you being here is to uncode or to decode the mystery of your story. And this is the reason why you were here. So sitting around being depressed about being trapped in the matrix and being stuck in the matrix won't ever do anything but get you right back into the matrix. The only way to get out of it is to solve the mystery. And the only way to solve the mystery is to know more. Let me go on. He says, once in a past time I spoke to the dweller, asked of the mystery of time and space, asked him the question that surged in my being, saying, O master, what is time? So now this is Thoth. He's asking the dweller of time. He's asking him about time because he knows time is the secret or way of getting out of here. So he's asking the dweller, what is time? And this is when it gets deep, because the master says, then he spoke to the master. The master says, know ye, O Thoth, in the beginning there was void and nothingness, a timeless, spaceless nothingness. And into the nothingness came a thought, purposeful, all-pervading, and it filled the void. There existed no matter, only force, a movement, a vortex or a vibration of the purposeful thought that filled the void. So notice now it's going into the principle of force, because the principle of force, which is where I really didn't cover, because I'm going to do another video on the plane of force, but this is what really governs time. You have to see, force is what is the zero time reference of time. There would be no time if there was no force. So you exist on a plane of force. There's a part of you that exists on a plane of force. So when you talk about forcing a person to do something, that's the secret on freeing yourself from the matrix. You have to use your thoughts to force time into your favor. And I'll go on. It says, and I questioned the master, saying, was this thought eternal? And answered me the dweller, saying, the dweller says, in the beginning there was eternal thought, and for thought to be eternal, time must exist. So into the all-pervading thought grew the law of time, a time which exists through all space, floating in a smooth, rhythmic movement that is eternally in a state of fixation. Time changes not, but all things change in time. So what he's telling you is that really time doesn't exist, because he's saying time is fixed. So what happens is that if you begin to move and function on the plane of thought, time travels at one level, because like the time that you may be using clock time. So you're dealing with seconds, usually in this matrix, but thought travels a lot faster than seconds. Thought travels past the speed of light. So what he's showing you is that when you get in tune into the plane of thought and you get your thoughts in order and your thoughts in a rhythm, time doesn't exist. You get into the law of correspondence, and things just begin to happen for you in a pattern. Your life becomes more of a pattern versus more of a mechanical, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this. What happens is that life begins to show you what to do next. This is when you go to the higher levels of time. And he says, a time which exists through all space, floating in a smooth rhythmic movement that is eternally in a state of fixation. He says, time changes not, but all things change in time. For time is the force that holds events separate, each in its proper place. Time is not in motion. Time is not in motion, but ye move through time. So you're in motion as your consciousness moves from one event to another. Very key here, because this is when you get into understanding the fourth dimension. People want to understand it And they were like, well, how is it like in fourth dimension? How am I going to move and do things like that? You move into the fourth dimension through your thoughts. So you could be in the third dimension and move into the fourth dimension, because time is not moving. Time is a illusionary prison that's keeping you trapped there. And when you tap into the plane of thought, you begin to tap into the fourth dimension. And it says, A, by time, yea, exists all in all, an eternal one existence. Know ye that even though in time ye are separate, ye still are one in all time existent. Cease then the voice of the dweller. So the dweller stopped talking, and departed I to ponder on time. For knew I that in these words lay wisdom, and a way to explore the mysteries of time. It says, oft did I ponder the words of the dweller. So he always thought about the words of the dweller. He had to keep thinking about this over and over again, obviously, because this is not something easy to grasp. However, it's very easy to grasp, but it's something that you always have to go back to so that you will stay free. That's another key ingredient. When you, any discipline that you master, if you notice, if you stop doing it, you lose it. If you master the discipline of speaking a foreign language, and you never speak that foreign language, you lose it. So you have to continue to ponder over these things that I'm talking about. If you want to become free and you want to become sovereign, you have to apply these principles to everything that you do. These 4 principles of thought, space, law, and time. And he says, then sought I to solve the mystery of time. Found I that time moves through strange angles. This is very important right here, so pay attention. He says, yet only by curves could I hope to attain the key that would give me access to the time space. Found I that only by moving upward, and yet again by moving to the rightward, could I be free from the time of this movement. So notice he's talking about ascending and moving in right degree angles. It's very important that he point that out, because you have to be right. If you want to be sovereign, you want to be free, one of the main things you got to work, you have to be right within yourself. That's right. A lot of people, they're not right. You want to be free, but you're not right. Like, you're out here doing certain, you want to be free for the wrong reasons. You want to be free so you can have more sex with more women, so you can drain more of your lower energy and bust more nuts and more semen. You want to be free so you can drink more wine and do more and drink more alcohol. You want to be free so that you have time to watch more sports all the time. And I'm not saying don't do these things, because, you know, I'm a left-hand path worker as well as a right-hand path worker. We are in this body, and there are rules that govern this body as well. But I'm talking about freeing yourself. He said in order to free yourself, you have to ascend. Meaning you have to go up and move in right degree angles. He said that he found out that the laws of time, which are really the laws of light, move in right degree angles and curves. So this is how you free yourself. When you talk about standing on a square, this is a 90-degree right angle. It says, forth I came from out of my body, moved in the movements that changed me in time. Strange were the sights I saw in my journeys, many the mysteries that opened to view. Saw I man's beginning, learn from the past that nothing is new. It's another thing you got to remember, nothing is new. So you have to get over your ego. You see, like when you become sovereign and when you finally do make it to a certain level of your discipline, whatever it may be, you do make it to a certain level of your thoughts, know that there are people that have been to this level before you. There are masters that have traded the way for you. So this is where so-called humility comes in at, knowing that nothing is new. This is your personal journey. So not comparing it to anyone else is very important in freeing yourself from the matrix. The minute you look out and start to compare yourself to something else, this is when you think it's new. This is when you think, oh, I'm innovative, I'm different. And you're very different. You were born different. You were given that by birth. That's your birthright. We're all different. Nobody's created the same. But however, at the same time, you have to know that nothing is new. So everything, the events that you're going through and the experiences that you're going through, it happened before. And not only on a positive level, but on a negative level. There's nothing new that's negative that's happening to you that another person couldn't free themselves from. So always remember that what you're going through, somebody freed themselves from that before. Very important. And then I'm going to stop here on these last 2 verses. He says, seek ye, O man, to learn the pathway that leads through the spaces that are formed forth in time. Very key. He says, seek ye, O man, to learn the pathway that leads through the spaces that are formed forth in time. So if it's a pathway there already, that means somebody tread the way for you. So the only thing really you have to do is just find the pathway and go that way. That's the good thing about it. You don't have to build the road yourself, because it's already been created, because there's nothing new. You just have to get out of the maze. See, it's like a maze, time is essentially, and life is. And basically, once you find out the pattern or the pathway that's going to get you out the maze, you're free. You don't have to create a new pathway. You just have to find the pathway that was already laid before you, because luckily we had masters like Thoth that lived to be thousands of years old, and he's going to go on and talk about that, but I don't have time to go into that aspect. I'll do another video, a part 2. But you have masters that have treaded the way, and that have thought about things that you haven't even thought about thinking about yet, and that have mastered experiences that you haven't even experienced yet. So this is where humility and paying homage, but not only that, but knowing that we're all connected comes into play at. He says, lastly, forget not, O man, with all of thy seeking, that light is the goal, ye shall seek to attain. Search ye ever for light on the pathway, and ever for thee the goal shall endure. And I'll stop with that. So as long as you're looking for light, which is truth, you're going to free yourself. You're going to eventually find freedom, as long as you're looking for the truth of the situation. So if you're in a relationship and you feel trapped, the reason why you feel trapped is because you don't know the truth. If you're in a situation right now where you may want to get someone's attention, you don't know why they're not giving you their attention. You need their attention in order to free your mind from something that, like a spell or something that may have been played on you, and you need their attention. Like, say for instance, you need to talk to your father, your long lost father, and your long lost father can't give you the attention you need because you don't know him. You have to look for the truth in the situation, the light, and that's what's going to free you from it. So I'm saying all that to say that in order to be sovereign, in order to be free, and most people, they think about on a money level and a land level, those are physical things. You have to first master your mind. You have to first master your thoughts, and then you have to put them into an order and a rhythm. There's first two laws of the universe that created everything in the universe. Is first there was chaos, and there was order and harmony. Order and harmony go hand in hand. So what I want to do now is, on the last half of this segment, is I want to talk about some solutions financially, because I want to give some grounded information, not just some cosmic, because Thoth can get cosmic on you. He goes into the higher chakras when this information is deep. He's talking 13 chakras down to the 7th chakra. This information covers that. But we also have the 6th chakra, the 5th chakra, the heart chakra. These are chakras going down, the root chakra. And a lot of people can't free themselves too, because they may understand. You do have an imbalance of people. We have people that understand the cosmic stuff, and they got all that stuff in order, but then they can't free themselves physically because their root chakra is closed up. And they may owe people money and things like that. Steve, you owe people money and you had debt and things like that, you can't really explore the higher realms of spirituality because you're not grounded. In order for a rocket ship to take off, it still has to be grounded on the earth a certain way, and it has to take off from the earth at a certain point. So it has to be aligned. Your chakras have to be aligned in order for you to take off. So I want to talk about what 13 Signs Astrology is going to be doing really soon. And we have an economic program that we're putting together to help to free people from the depths of the matrix. We're going to put together a form of it's not a multi-level marketing company, it's not a pyramid scheme, but we're going to put together a form of a network marketing solution to help people to get free on an economic level from the matrix. Now, just because you get into this, like once this gets started, just because you join this, it's not going to guarantee you being free, because you're still going to have to master the disciplines of thought and all the things that I covered. That's why I started out with that. But however, once you get those things in order, you do need finance. It does take finance, like our great patriarch talked about, to uplift a nation. You do need monies to do things. You can't always just go to court and sue somebody, or you can't always just go and look for a handout. You need a way to make money, just like it says in the Bible. You can give a man some fish, or you could teach him how to fish. If you go outside, a lot of the disparity that I'm talking about, I'm seeing, is coming from debt. There's a lot of, not just people, but governments that are in debt. And what this is saying is that we need to go back to the land, which is our root chakra. We've gotten too far out into the waters, so we're in debt. We need to go back into the shores and go back onto the land and begin to grow things and do things again. So 13 Signs Astrology has a set of products that are already on our website. And these products, right now, we're not getting them at the best rates, as far as like what I get them for. Like some of the products I create, most of the herbs and things like that I create, and myself and my assistant, we create them on our own. But then we have other products like the oils and things like that, that we can import in and get. We can set up trade agreements with the Chinese, with the Indians, and different other nations. However, we need a unit. We need a group of people that are willing to not just purchase the products for themselves, but are willing to promote the products and begin to make money for yourself off the products. So what a solution that we're working on, and it's going to take us a little time to tweak it. Maybe by December, I'm hoping before Christmas, I want to get this up. We're working on a solution for you guys to be able to get the products in bulk. It's going to start off in bulk, and eventually it's going to turn into, once we get enough buying power, it's going to turn into us beginning to make trade agreements and treaties with different other entities, because like 13signsastrology.com is a sovereign entity right now. So we have to make treaties and trade agreements with other nations so that we can begin to get these products, more products, not only get these products, but get more products, and we want to get them in bulk. So this is going to take help on your part. It's just doing the same thing you're doing. You guys already ordered a product, so instead of ordering a product and paying X amount of dollars for it, you're going to get that same product for 50% off because you're going to be a bulk customer. In order to be a bulk customer, we're not going to have it like most companies where you have to order like 12 of them or order like 50 of them to get it in bulk. No, we're not going to do it like that because we realize people need it. Like I see homeless people out there and I'm like, man, these guys are strong, able people, and they just need, their thoughts aren't right. So this is when you go into the other concept of sovereignty. This is like stage 2 where this is where Ram Hotep is at. Like this is where I'm trying to graduate to, where you begin to help other people. And you see that you may be free to a certain extent, because like me, myself personally, I'm free to a certain extent. Not totally free, but to a certain extent, but I'm not free because my people outside aren't free. As long as people outside aren't free and I turn on the news and I see people doing sacrifices just to get insurance policy money, that's not how you get it. And I see people trying to borrow money just to pay their bills, you're not going to ever be free like that. That's debt. And debt, like it says in the Holy Quran of Mecca, is slavery. So we're working on this economic blueprint to where eventually, once we get enough buying power, we'll start importing the products in internationally. Right now, we get our products local, like the actual ingredients that we use to make things. We get those ingredients local. We can get better prices if we get them internationally. A lot of times, like say for instance, we have the moringa on our site. We get it locally from a dealer here locally, but we can eventually go to Jamaica and strike a deal with the Jamaicans and be able to get it from them because they grow moringa. And then we're not going to stop there. Then eventually we can go back to the land, and if we get enough people that are willing to work, we can begin to produce the moringa. So we can network, social media and social networking with our products. So we can sell our products online. You can sell them online, have your own website, sell them to your friends and family and things of that nature. But the bottom line is, it's like the way Amway started. It's like the way Quick Start started. It's like the way all these different pyramid schemes started. And notice they use the term pyramid schemes to make you think it was a scheme. But notice that Thoth and the Egyptians built pyramids. Why did they do that? Because they knew that was the only way to free yourself from the matrix. You notice that the pyramid at the bottom and the base point, it's very large, but as it goes up, it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to the point at the top. And the reason for that is because once you get to the top of the sovereignty thing, you really master your thinking. You really don't need to make a lot of money. The masters are so free that they don't even use money. They don't even use currency. So that's another thing you got to get out of, is people need to learn. That's why you need to learn law. You need to study economics though. Because as you get high up in this thing, you can get to a point where you don't even need money because you've been so disciplined. You became a disciple. You're not really eating a lot. You're not really where you live at. You know, you may be cool with living in nature, but you still want to help the people. Because that's really where I'm at. I mean, I'm really cool with being a nomad and kind of just living wherever and kind of just being in nature most of the time and living wherever. I spend a lot of time in nature. However, I know that a lot of people aren't there. So that's why you have the pyramid, is because of the degrees of thought that people are on. So don't let anybody fool you and say, oh, don't get a part of no pyramid schemes. It's just a guy at the top making all the money. Because really most billionaires, they're so free, and you need to study billionaires and how they live, because they live differently. But they're so free that they don't use money. They don't buy things because they own everything. A billionaire owns every type of company that you would need to live. Like say for instance, oh, you want to go out and buy the new J's. The billionaire can design his own shoes and probably has a company making his own shoes. Say, for instance, you want to go buy a new outfit. A billionaire has a clothing company that they're probably producing, or they're investing in one, or they're a partner in one or something. But what I'm getting at is that you get on a billionaire thought is past material things and needing things. So Economics goes hand in hand with spirituality, and that's what we're going to prove with 13 signs astrology. If you want to be a good economist, if you want to be a master at freeing yourself from this reality, you have to understand economics and spirituality. So you have a lot of people that they want to make this money and they want to get this money, like these rappers. They talk about all this, just get money, get money, get money, but then it stops there because you notice that they end up sinking. A lot of them, not all of them, because they have no spirituality. They are freed themselves from the material desires and ambitions that they may have. So 13 Signs Astrology is working on some new things. Just want to throw it out there. We are working on an economic solution that for the spiritual people out there, for the spiritual people that, like, we need our own music. We're working on that. We need our own film. Spiritual people need their own everything because it's a different way of thinking. It's a new way of doing things. And what the world is going to find out is that really it's the only way to free ourselves up from doing things. Because when you study the world as a whole, everything is based on debt right now. And that's why everybody's miserable because, well, debt is going out. Because you have a new group of people, a new group of ETs that really, and I'll talk about that on another subject, but a new group of ETs that are getting into power and they're not really for the debt thing. Because debt is an illusion, and they know that debt creates monsters. The reason why it says that the human being is a monster in the Black's Law Dictionary is because of the fact that a human being, most humans have no control over their desires. So therefore, those people that rule this world, the people that wrote that definition, they're thinkers. They were philosophers. People that wrote those definitions, they knew that the human being is a monster who constantly has to be fed. If you think about a monster, you always got to eat. And the reason why you're like that is because your chakras are messed up. So you got to balance yourself, free yourself from this prison planet. And the only way to do it is to be spiritual, yet grounded. I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down. Got to go and make some other moves. I just wanted to do this, put out some positive light to the people. So always look for the light and you will free yourself from the mysteries of the darkness. Until we meet again, I'll leave you in peace.